Hello all, my name is Frank, my call WA2, November Delta Victor, and wanted to do a video to help some of you folks out who are having trouble with IO-117 and by association LED SAT. Here are the programs that you would need to operate. Now, I know a lot of folks have already downloaded the software and are either having trouble receiving, or if you're receiving, you're not able to transmit, not getting through. These will be posted in the comments section or in the description of this video, so you can get these two programs. The first is the terminal program, and I'll show you that if you go to that location, you'll bring up the UZ9 AAZ, his program, Karsten's program here, OZ9 AAR. He's written a great program for LED SAT and for IO-117. So you go to the web page, you come down here, and you'll see the various programs, and he older versions, but here is the current version for Windows, version 10069. You would download that and do your normal installation process. The Soundmodem, which is the second part of the second program that you need, is UZ7HO software, and you'll come to this web page, and down here is Greentnc.zip. You'll take that, you'll install it, unzip it, install it, and you will have a Soundmodem icon and a Greencube terminal icon. Now, you do have to, on a 9700, have to make a slight change to your configuration. And you're going to go to Menu, Set, Connectors, the mod input, data mod, which is on page 2 of that menu, and set that to USB. You will then go to Menu, Set, Connectors, USB send keying, which is on page 3 of that. Go to USB send and set that to USB B RTS. This is the #1 reason that folks, the transmitters, aren't going into transmit. So make sure that you're having the audio routed properly in the 9700 and that you set to USB B RTS. So you would bring up Soundmodem and go to settings. You can see that we're going to be doing this during a pass. If you go to settings, you go to devices, you'll see that I have the output device and the input device set to my 9700. Okay, I assume most people have done that. The server port for AGWPE is set to 8000, and the KISS server port is set to 55013. The select PTT port is COM6. Now that's on my system. If you want to see what COM ports your drivers for the 9700 are using, you would go to the start window, you'd go to device manager, wait for the device manager to come up, come to COM ports, and you'll see on mine, it's COM4 and COM6. This pair is different from the rest. The others are standard serial over Bluetooth COM10. These are ports 4 and 6. Those are the 2 ports out of the 9700. I believe it's going to be the higher COM port that is your push to talk. I would use that first. If that is not working for you, then obviously go to COM4. So it's going to be one of the two. One is for audio, one is for PTT. Okay, so we will have devices here. So we've set that up to 8,55013 and COM6, okay? We bring up the Greencube terminal program. And we would go to settings, program settings, general settings, where you'd put your my call. At least to see I'm already decoding here. Your grid square. If you want to see telemetry messages in the traffic window, you will not be decoding them. That's a separate set of programs, which will be on another video at another time. As you see here, Greencube, the data, it's not going to be all the data. The satellite, you would select your satellite here, IO-117, use that one, not the Greencube, IO-117 or LED SAT. The sound modem is where we're going to have the KISS port, which was 55013, which must match the sound modem configuration. And the AGWPE port is 8000. So you would set those two ports to match the sound modem port. TLE data. Costin's program will tell you the time to LOS or time to AOS, and it will find out the direction and azimuth and elevation and the range. It does that by using the TLEs. I'm using the TLEs from CSN Technologies, who is the creator of the SAT controller. And you can feel free to use their CNS Bear TLE programs. If you have another place that you like to get your TLEs, you just put that in there. When you load the program, the latest TLE will load in. The sound settings. When there is a new call or a new grid, the program will actually announce that to you, and we'll get to how you set that up in a while. I would leave all of these three enabled, and there is an AOS message, meet for the Roadrunner here, and it'll tell you that it's 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever you set this slider to tell you that satellite is coming up. Logging. I cannot speak to AC log or N1MM or HRD, but I can certainly speak to the ADIF file. So if you take your favorite logging program that you've been using for satellite, export all of your satellite contacts, put it into a file at this location of your choice. Mine is under desktop, and it's called satdupes.adi. If you do that, this program will look at every call sign that comes in and check it to see if you have worked it before. It will also look to see if you've worked the grid before. If you need that grid or that call sign, you can it will announce it to you, okay? And it'll tell you that KF2T has not been heard before, and you can go in and work them. So what you would do is start out with making an ADIF export from your current logging program. And then once you work somebody, and we'll get to that in a minute, but that's how you would start off doing that. QRZ lookup, they will do a lookup to look for state over here. As you can see, it's getting its state. It's doing a QRZ lookup. So if you are a subscriber, you'll call sign and your password in here, and you will do a lookup, internet lookup to QRZ, and it'll show the state from the QRZ. So for us, it's in the states here. You know, most guys put in their state that they're in. A lot of European and others are looking for worked all states and things. So here's QRZ is putting in their state, so you can easily see what state they're in. The key to working successfully is to have the right frequencies to start with. And if you don't start with a proper set of frequencies, you're kind of going to be in in some trouble. It's just not going to work for you. I'm using the CSN Technology SAT tracker, and I have modified my frequencies for the uplink frequency of 435.309.000. My frequency down is 435.309.300. But I did add a 60 hertz offset RIT on receive. It's tricky to say, at least to dial this in. Some rigs are different. Some rigs are a little bit off frequency from one another. You know, this is 60 hertz. You're going to have to finesse it a little bit. The idea is to get the downloaded, the Soundmodem signal here, the download frequency, starting at about 800 here and going to about 2100. And then you must move this bar to cover most of it. And when you do, your receive will start receiving and your transmit will attempt to get into the satellite. And I say attempt because the issue here is this is the footprint. Most of the country, except for the Northwest and all of South America, are all trying to get in at the same time. So there are a lot of collisions. And this is the reason why a lot of people cannot get into the satellite and feel that it's not working for them, that their transmit is not working correctly. Your transmit is probably okay if you've centered the sound modem as I've described and shown here. The problem is you're colliding with an awful lot of people. And that's the number one the reason why people, don't get in and have difficulty getting in. You see people are getting in and people are making contacts. It's a bit frustrating sometimes on trying to get a packet through. So here's a live picture of what's going on live on the satellite this evening. We're at 193 degrees and 23-degree elevation. There are some statistics up here on the Greencube terminal. So again, you can sit here and just watch the traffic flow, keeping an eye here. Once you've got this set up, you'll be fine. Now, if I move my VFO and change frequency slightly, you're going to see that waterfall move up. Don't do this. Don't move that up because you really want to stay where your sound card, from what I've read, where the sound card works the best. So you don't want it up here. Now you see, receiving has stopped. I'm on the signal, but yet it's not working correctly. So this has caused some confusion also. So if I come back and move the VFO, and I move the VFO back down to about where it should be, and I move this back down here, I should start again receiving. Now, the satellite does take some fades. Don't let that discourage you, but it will. Now you see I'm copying again now. So you see, I did everything right, you would think, but I was up past 2000. It wasn't working. You need to be here. You need to be about the bottom edge of 800. Okay. Also, you'll note that if I move this off, my transmitted tones will also be off. So this is about where you want it. You can see I'm copying nicely until it fades. But that's really the key. The key is to tune that in. So if you're using the SAT tracker, you can adjust your frequencies and save the frequencies as I have done, and maybe make a slight correction with the VFO if necessary. But whatever radio or whatever tracking software you're using, this is how the waterfall should look, and you'll be successful. Now you see it's taking a fade on me. I'm using 10 elements or so on 432 horizontal. I don't have circular polarization. I don't think the satellite is either, but it does take some fades. So the nice thing is you have, usually over an hour to play with this satellite to get this tuned in correctly. And once you do, the DX here is quite amazing, quite amazing. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. But I think you should have enough now to get yourself started on successful IO-117 contacts. Now, having said that, there's another satellite called LED-SAT. LED-SAT is on every other day, and you can look at the AMSAT page, status page, or you could look at the CSN SAT page if you are a SAT owner, and you can see if it's going to be on that particular day. The only change you have to make is to come up here to IO-117 to the satellite and change it to LED-SAT. That's it. It uses the same sound modem. Now you see, it says I'm on the wrong satellite. We know that. We've done that on purpose. But Carsten put that in. I'm on the wrong satellite, selected in settings. But this is for a demo. So if I went to LED-SAT, that satellite works just like this. It uses the same sound modem, but you must change this to LED-SAT. And that satellite moves quick. Those passes, maybe 10 minutes. The footprint is way smaller, but it is a lot of fun. It's an extremely strong satellite, very strong satellite, and it has great ears. I've gone down to 0 power on the my 9700 and still had digipeats through. It's not busy. It's not as busy as 117. So that's a great place to get the hang of tuning and making sure everything is okay, because you will get digipeated through there a lot more than you will get digipeated on 117 when 117 is busy. When all of the US and all of Europe and they're all on at the same time, all trying to push a packet through. So you can practice on LED-SAT, and then when you're ready, all you would do is come back to 117 and you're ready to go. From the East Coast, I've worked as far as China, which I never thought would be possible on satellite, but it's a lot of fun. If you have questions, drop them in the comment section. We'll get back to you. Make sure you put your call sign so we know who we're talking to. So that's it. I hope it was helpful. Good luck, and hope to see you on the satellite.
You gonna try and work somebody?
Sure. I've worked most of these people already.
It's all right.
But sure, let's make a contact. Let's go and see. Well, let's try if we call a CQ. That's my outbound. You see that color is my transmit. And now my DP, my digi packet. So I know by the color scheme that I've come through. Again, this is how to operate the program. You go to that website, you go to Carsten's website. There's a great tutorial on how to use his great program. So I did get digied, but I've been on this for so long. I've talked to mostly everybody I see here. Let's answer. If someone calls CQ, I'll answer them. And again, if you are a subscriber, if you are a SAT owner and you have logging set up and you're using the logbook in the SAT, you can bring up the add log entry scheme here, which might go away if I click here, but we'll see. So this is one of the fades that I'm talking about. You'll see here that it's gotten a bit weaker, and I'm not copying. And the satellite does that. You'll learn, and you'll know at what signal strength just by ear you need to copy. And you see it's almost gone right now. The fades are significant. And now it's back, and you see I'm copying. It's on its way, you see. And now you see we're back to a very nice signal. I don't have any preamps, just a single 435 beam. So here's KG0D, and I know he's a CSN guy. Let's just call him. I know he was calling someone, but let's see if he'll answer me. So there's one packet. I did not get digied, you see, because it did not come back to me here. Let's go to M6PAZ. I just transmitted, and I got through. So I said 599 FN30 UQSL. You can see it gets quite busy. Just think of all these people transmitting at the same time. But if you use the standard default colors, you can see this light blue here. I did get digied. So at this point, I would think that he is having an issue trying to digi back to me. Long periods of quiet is when everyone is colliding with everybody, and nobody is getting through. And you'll hear nothing coming from the satellite, for 10, 12 seconds or so, because they're all just colliding. This phenomenon was known back in the packet days of the hidden transmitter syndrome. The same exact thing would happen on the large packet networks of the 90s. Now the satellite has taken a fade, so nothing will appear for a bit. So the hidden transmitter says I have a receiver on top of a tall building, which we did in Manhattan, in New York City, and it could hear probably 75 miles. So a guy with 5 watts at one end would transmit. The top of the building would hear him, but the guy from Long Island trying to get in who did not hear the other guy would be blocked. And it was called the hidden transmitter syndrome. And this is the same thing, but all of North and South America could be on at the same time. So you can imagine how much that satellite is hearing at the same time, even though the two stations transmitting don't hear one another, but the satellite hears everybody. So N6PAZ did get through to KA7 KDX. So he's active. He may have called me during the fade. Let's go to AER. We'll go to him. You double click. That packet did not get through. We'll transmit again. When I came back into receive, there was already a packet there, so that I know was a collision. And now I got through on my third attempt. You see the color here confirms I've been digied. The statistics up here, as you can see, in my own transmit, I transmitted 6 times. I heard myself only 3 times. It does the math for you, and it says my DigiRepeat success was 50%. That's high. On a good night, a busy weekend, you might see a 20% Digi success. So don't be alarmed if you're not getting digied. And again, I think that's why some folks think that, you know, their system is not working because they're not getting through. 20, 25% on a busy, wide pass is good, is very good. Again, go on LED SAT on a pass, do your testing there, and you'll see that you have got your station set up correctly, you're tuning correctly, that everything is correct, because you will digi through there 90% of the time, because it's really not that busy, at least over the States. It's not very busy at all. Okay. So let's say I did work somebody, and let's just talk logging real quick before we wrap up. If you are using the CSN tracker, you can bring up your log entry. Because I double clicked on a call W6AER, it's in my it's here. I right click in the call sign, and I could do my lookup, and I could add him to my log directly. So you make no changes for CSN SAT people for logging, just the fact that you don't have to type it in. It's in your buffer. You right click your mouse in the call sign box, do the lookup, and then you would add the entry as you normally would. So you don't even have to type the call sign in. Okay. And that's pretty much it. You can see this live footprint. It's going to be almost directly overhead, 86.6 degrees. I can wave to it and look at that footprint. Just a bit of Scotland over here, but it is very early in the morning over there, about 3 or 4 in the morning. So this is the footprint, and this is why you get blocked. Okay, again, any questions? Put them in the comments, and we'll do our best to get back to you. 7-3.